Welcome back. Okay, we're working with rational equations, which means our equations contain fractions. And sometimes what happens when you're working with rational equations and your variables in the denominator, sometimes you will get an answer for x that makes the denominator become a 0. And if the denominator becomes a 0, we all know we cannot divide by 0, so the value of that fraction becomes undefined. And if the value of the fraction becomes undefined, that means we can't check. We can't prove that the left side equals the right side. So what happens is when we solve rational equations, sometimes we get an answer that will not work because it will not check. Therefore, we need to throw that answer out. And if we throw that answer out, then we don't have an answer. And that's when we use our famous phrase, no solution. So let's look at our PowerPoint. I have a rational equation. 2 plus 4 divided by x minus 4 equals x divided by x minus 4. First mistake, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot add the 2 to the 4 in the numerator. Remember, to add fractions, you need a common denominator. And what's the denominator of 2? Good, it's 1. So we can't add those and make one fraction. We have here a rational equation. We have here where the variable is in the denominator. So the first thing they're going to ask us is to state the restriction. Come out and say what the answer for x cannot be. We need to know what value of x makes our denominator 0, because that means the whole fraction would be undefined. It wouldn't exist. So in our first fraction, we have 2. 2 is a fraction. It's 2 over an invisible 1. Well, there's no variable there, so we don't have to worry about a restriction. In our second fraction, our denominator is x minus 4. What number do you substitute for x and then subtract 4 that would make 0? Very good, it would be 4. 4 minus 4 would be 0. So your first restriction is x equals 4. If you look at your third fraction, that denominator is exactly like the denominator of the second fraction. So there's no work. You know the restriction. It also would be 4. Now, we don't need to write that twice. That's redundant. So we would say for this equation, the restriction is x equals 4. You're coming out and telling me right away what the answer for x cannot be. Now, we have to solve this equation. Solving is a whole different process. Solving means to get x by itself. And to get x by itself, the first thing you have to do is get rid of the fractions. And to get rid of fractions, that's where you need your concept LCD, least common denominator. So if you look, your denominators are x minus 4 and x minus 4. They're the same. So to get rid of them, you would have to do the operation of multiplication. So our LCD has got to be x minus 4. So if we multiply each part of the equation by x minus 4, we'll wipe out the fractions. So the first part of the equation is 2. We're going to do 2 times x minus 4, which would be if we distribute 2x minus 8. The second part of the equation is the fraction 4 over x minus 4. Well, if you take that fraction 4 over x minus 4 and you multiply it by the common denominator, x minus 4, well, if you look, the x minus 4s are going to cancel out. They're going to divide out, and that's going to leave you with plus 4. If you take the third fraction and multiply it by the least common denominator, x minus 4, again, the x minus 4s would cancel out. You're dividing the same terms, and that would just leave you with x. So if you look at your equation, you have 2x minus 8 plus 4 equals x. There's no more fractions. That was your goal. Now it's a simple linear equation because it's x to the first power. So what I did is on the left side, I collected like terms. I have 2x minus 4 equals x. Creature of habit. Ms. Black always moves the variables to the left, so I subtracted x. I got x minus 4 equals 0. Then I moved my numbers to the right, so I added 4, and I got my answer, x equals 4. Does everybody see that? When I did the process of solving and got x isolated, I got x equals 4. Here's the problem. That is not allowed to be the answer. You stated the restriction was x equals 4. You stated in the very beginning, hey, the answer can't be 4. Because if you go and check it, if you sub 4 in, what happens? Well, let's go up there and look. I have 2 plus 4 divided by, put a 4 for x. In your denominator, you get 4 minus 4. What is 4 minus 4, everybody? 0. What happens when you take the number 4 in the numerator and divide it by 0? You can't do it, which means you can't check to see if your answer is right. So if your denominator is 0, it means the value of your fraction is undefined, which means I can't work this equation. So what happens is when you're solving a rational equation and the answer you get for x is the same as your restriction, you have to throw that answer out. And when you throw that answer out, you don't have an answer. So you say, I have no solution. Okay, let's try one on the whiteboard.